Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Global Gaze, where we talk art, film, and books related to Africa, Asia, and South America. Today, we're going to be talking about performance art, or more specifically, what does it mean when a Mexican artist drops a massive Olmec head on a Tesla? Let's face it, it can be hard to understand contemporary art. We're not really trained to do it. Museum entry fees can be expensive, and it's just not something that is discussed in the media all that much. It's relatively easy to understand what we call figurative art, right? That's paintings or sculptures or photographs that depict reality as it is. But when we move into the realm of conceptual art, where we're not trying to represent reality so much as bring together objects or symbols that generate a new meaning, it can be a bit tricky to understand what's going on. But there are amazing examples out there by artists from the global south who use performance and other kinds of conceptual art in ways that are really easy to understand once you've got a bit of an idea of where to begin. So today I'm going to read a piece of performance art from last year. Let's dig into the crushing, quite literally, message behind Chavis Mármol's dramatic performance art. On March the 5th, 2024, artist Chavis Mármol released a replica of a massive Olmec head on top of the roof of a blue Tesla Model 3 in Mexico City. Would you call that vandalism? A PR stunt? Or is it a piece of performance art with a really deep message? An ancient symbol of Mesoamerican civilization was used to destroy one of the sleekest symbols of modern tech utopianism. And no, this wasn't actually one act. It was a setup that was 2 years in the making, a very well considered piece of art protest and public sculpture. Mármol is a sculptor from Mexico City who doesn't actually own a car. He gets around on a bicycle. His work lives at the intersection of indigenous heritage and contemporary critique of society today, and he's not afraid to throw punches, metaphorically and literally. This performance was actually part of a series that he called Neo Tameme. Tameme refers to the porters in Mesoamerican civilization who used to carry goods across the empire. Mármol's series uses iconic Mesoamerican symbols like the Olmec head in order to question how the past lives on in the present. So let's talk about this really striking visual. A sleek blue Tesla, the symbol of Silicon Valley innovation, is crushed by a giant head that is a sculpture of an ancient indigenous deity. Mármol makes it very clear in his interviews, this wasn't just about destroying an expensive car. This was about what the Tesla represents. Bear in mind, he did this piece before this. Still functions symbolically here as the shiny promise of a technologized future that is built on shaky and exploitative grounds. Mármol is linking elite accumulation today. Musk made over $140 billion during the COVID-19 pandemic to wealth accumulation in the past when the Americas were colonized. The Olmec heads were originally believed to be carved 3,000 years ago. They represented the rulers of Mesoamerican civilization. They're deeply tied to the indigenous history and culture of Central America. By using a replica of this monumental symbol to crush a Tesla, Mármol is saying that the history of colonial extraction isn't in the past. It still carries weight. And that the past should help us understand what's going on in our present. Of course, when Mármol talks about colonization through this piece, he's talking about its modern faces: resource extraction, land appropriation, and the expansion of multinational corporations like Tesla into Mexico and other parts of Central and Southern America. In late 2023, the Mexican federal government approved land use permits for a new Tesla mega factory. In light of this context, Mármol's performance art raises some really relevant questions. Whose land is being used? Who benefits? And who bears the environmental and human cost? So in light of this, the crushing of the Tesla becomes almost an act that can be read as a form of anti-colonial resistance. Instead of extraction and erasure, we get reclamation and power. We get an indigenous icon believed to be no longer relevant, a 3,000-year-old entity, literally asserting its weight over the symbols of technology and capitalism today. When we begin to think about what the individual objects can come to symbolize in a piece of art, then we're on the right track to figuring out what message is being conveyed here. Even though I've so far discussed how the Olmec head crushing a Tesla tells us about how the past lives on in the exploitations of the present, we can also interpret this in many related ways. For example, we can think a little bit more about what this may mean metaphysically or culturally. It could be the artist asserting that ancestral or spiritual powers of Central America live on, and that they are watching our situation today. Similarly, the fact that the artist is using a natural stone in order to crush something that is highly engineered from a range of materials that are extracted from all around the world can in itself be another aspect to this message. It suggests there's an environmental dimension to resisting what the Tesla represents. So through one piece of performance art that looks quite spontaneous, we actually get to delve into a really studied and really well-planned series of questions and challenges. What do we learn from the past? What do we value from that past? Who gets to shape the future? Are we really moving forward, or just repackaging old systems of exploitation and giving it a new tech gloss? By crushing a Tesla with an Olmec head, Chavis Mármol gives us a visual metaphor for an ongoing clash between ancestral, environmentally rooted knowledge and a global system that prioritizes the few. So it ceases to be a spectacle just by understanding what these objects could possibly symbolize. And so while performance art can seem a bit baffling at first, it's actually one of the easier genres of conceptual art to get into. Thank you for watching The Global Gaze. If you enjoyed this breakdown of art history, and culture, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video. And let me know in the comments, what did you think of this piece of performance art and what it's trying to tell us? Until next time, keep your gaze global.